Moving on means leaving all that old shit in the past because we are no longer allowing people to live rent-free in our heads, because you already know where your head goes, your body follows. So if you feel like you're having a hard time moving on and you keep feeling the urge to spin the block, then girl, this episode is definitely for you. What's up, ladies, and welcome back to another episode of Her Clarity Space. I'm your girl, Jess, and my job is simple. I am here to facilitate a safe space for you to be able to be real with yourself and make real changes. So we're going to go ahead and jump right on into it. We are closing off our Becoming Her series with a bang. We are going to talk about moving on past relationships. And I mean grand relationships, marriages, best friends, longtime boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it may be. Those relationships that just seem like impossible to move past. Because a lot of us experience heartbreak. I'm pretty sure everyone has experienced heartbreak. And if you haven't, then girl, you just haven't lived enough. And I don't mean that to scare you. I'm just being honest. Because I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. It can be a family member. And I'm not talking about a loss like a person is no longer here with us. I'm talking about just parting ways. Some of us part ways with our parents. Some of us part ways with family members. Some of us part ways with people that we just thought that we could trust, and we let them in. And losing someone who you have been connected to for an extended period of time, it's really, really hard. And it is a grieving process. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about how we can properly move through that process without feeling guilty and without feeling like we need to go back or that we did anything wrong, and even without feeling the need to place blame. So first, let's talk about guilt. A lot of times we feel guilty when relationships end, even if we didn't do anything wrong. And it's because some of us really felt like we had what it took to make the relationship last. And unfortunately, a lot of us were even willing to sacrifice ourselves just to make that relationship last. And I want to go ahead and give you a tip. If you're ever in a relationship and you have to sacrifice things that fulfill you, that is a key sign that that probably is not a relationship for you. That probably is not a friendship for you. And before you do more damage to yourself, it's best to just remove yourself. And I mean, if you've already expressed yourself, told the person time and time again, hey, this is what I need, this is what I require, this is what is lacking, and they still don't want to show up for you, that is a clear sign. And I'm not saying that every time a relationship ends that you didn't play a part, because we all play a part in relationships. Like I said, even choosing to stay in a toxic situation, that also is you contributing. But I also want you to just get to a point to where you can just accept that this is the end. We've had our time. And I appreciate the experience, and I'm not going to minimize it. And I really want to stress not minimizing, because when you minimize a loss like that, it really puts a halt to your grieving process, because you're trying to pretend like you didn't lose what you just lost. I can't tell you how many times, myself included, especially when I was younger, I try to stick more to reality these days, but there are still some women out here that when they go through a breakup, they talk about all these things about the man, how he was broke, he couldn't keep a job, the sex was horrible, he couldn't satisfy you, how he couldn't do all these things. But the thing that you can't ignore is, even if all of those things are true, you still chose to love that person. You still chose to care for that person. You still chose to be connected to that person. So even if all of those horrible things that you're talking about, that you're trying to spew, that you're trying to spread and trying to make it seem like the relationship wasn't what it was. You're trying to make it seem like the loss that you just experienced wasn't as great as it actually was. And sometimes, even when we experience a loss of someone that didn't properly love us, that didn't properly care for us, it's okay for you to still acknowledge the fact that you love them. You showed up for them. You cared for them. Because the quicker you go ahead and you allow yourself to accept that and process that, the quicker you can move on. The quicker you can move on. A lot of us struggle with breakups because we're in denial. We're in denial of the role that that relationship played in our lives. And we want to pretend like the person was horrible. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes the people are horrible people. Sometimes the people are people you probably should have let go a very long time ago. But that part is all water under the bridge now because you can't go back into time. You can't change anything. So even if that is true, you still chose to be in that relationship. And that relationship still meant something very important to you. Because if it didn't, you wouldn't have fought so hard. If it didn't, you wouldn't have stayed so long. If it didn't, you wouldn't have put your pride to the side and put your needs to the side for so long just to try and make it work. You wouldn't have sacrificed yourself to try and make it work. And you did nothing wrong. You followed your heart or your mind, whichever one it was, but you stayed true to yourself. And we have to accept when we've just reached the end, because some people don't even have toxic endings. Some people just part ways. Sometimes you just hit a crossroad in a relationship. It doesn't always have to be, oh, you cheated on me. Oh, you were abusive. You mistreated me. You didn't care for me. You ignored me. It doesn't always have to be negative. I have heard of people who have had what we would consider to be healthy relationships, and they still part ways because they just feel like, you know what? We're in two different spaces, and we're just not compatible. We're great people, but we're not good together. And that's okay. That is really okay. And I really want to focus on that right now. Because a lot of us get in relationships because the person is a good man. And unfortunately, to make a relationship work, it has to be more than just two good people coming together. Because sometimes the wrong person can bring out the ugly parts of you. I didn't say a bad person. I said the wrong person. Especially when it comes to women, there's probably somebody right now listening to this episode that's in a relationship with someone that they know is not meant for them, but they know that that is a good person. And you don't want to let them go because you feel like, how often do you come across a good person? But you know you're not happy. You get irritated easily because you know that this is not the person for you, but you're selfishly holding on to that person because he's a good man. And you deserve a good man. But what you really deserve is the person for you. And you're not going to find that person by holding on to the wrong person. So we have to be willing to take the risk and take that as an opportunity just to know, hey, there are good men out here. There are good people out here. I'm going to release you out of love. And maybe we can even still be friends. Hell, maybe once we break up, because I know that we're not meant to be, I may meet my person through you. Who knows? But every relationship doesn't have to be ruined before it ends. Once you know the relationship is good and over and there's no repairing it, get out quickly. Get out quickly. Don't sit around trying to change the person. Don't sit around trying to change yourself. And when I say changing yourself, I'm not talking about good changes. I'm talking about putting on the circus act. Oh, well, he doesn't like this. Let me try this. Don't torture yourself like that. And the last thing I'm going to say about that is because sometimes we're in these relationships and we give what people would say is a lot. And when the other person is responding as if you didn't just give all you had to give, we for some reason feel the need to give more, and we're not doing that anymore. Once we see that the relationship is no longer serving of us, we're not putting the clown hat on. We're not going to start performing to just to get their attention. We're moving on. We're moving on so we can find ourselves again, so we can find the person that is meant for us. So now let's go ahead and talk about, after we experience that loss, getting back to you, re-identifying you. Because sometimes it's really hard not only to let the person go, but to let the person that you were in that relationship go. Because sometimes we literally become a totally different version of ourselves. And sometimes we leave a relationship not even recognizing who we are. So it's so important that once you experience that loss, the first thing you need to do is tend to yourself. That is when self-care should be kicked into overdrive. What do I need right now? Treat yourself as if you were your best friend. What do I need right now? Do I need time with family? Do I need a vacation? Do I need to take a little time off of work? Do I need to socialize? Do I need to go to church a little bit more? Do I need to journal a little bit more? Maybe I need to pray a little bit more. Maybe I need to get into some creative spaces so that I can release the energy. I love to paint. Let me go and invest in a new paintbrush set and a canvas and express my emotions in a creative and healthy way. What do I like? Hell, I've been in this relationship so long. He's been having me watching football. I didn't even like football. Am I a sports girl now? Do I have my own team? Do I like going to games? Is that really my thing? Do I really like doing all of these things? Do I like the person that I actually became in that relationship? Because I'm not going to lie. There are some of us that come across people that really do help us grow. It's not always a negative experience. So when you leave that relationship, you don't have to get rid of everything. Because sometimes we do actually grow within those spaces. So I don't want you to just forget everything and undo all of the things that you've done while you were in that relationship, but you just need to be able to let the role go. You are no longer his wife. You are no longer his girlfriend. You are no longer her best friend. You are just you. You are just a girl trying to find her way, trying to figure out what she wants out of this life, and trying to do all the things that she needs to do to attract what is meant for her. And that should be your main priority once you exit that relationship, getting back to you, finding you, understanding you. Now, briefly, I'm going to touch on worrying about what people are going to say after you've experienced this loss. I have 2 words for dealing with that. Fuck them. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. This is your life. You make the best decision for you. Nobody has to deal with the decisions nor the consequences of what you decide to do but you. Now, if you have children, that's a slightly different situation. However, the rules technically still stand because you can still do all of the things that I named, even while still co-parenting. You don't have to spin the block just because you're co-parenting. That is not an excuse for you to go and plan for baby number 2 or baby number 3 or baby number 4. That you having a child that you guys share is not an excuse nor a hall pass for you to go back and make bad decisions. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Now let's talk about moving forward with love. I know sometimes when we experience these breakups, we feel like, oh, I'm never going to let anybody in again. I'm never going to let anybody close to me like that again. I have no faith in love. Everybody's horrible. You can't trust people. But I want to urge you, don't deprive yourself because of 1 failed relationship, 2 failed relationships, 3 failed relationships, maybe even 4. But if you want love, you should never give up on that. Never give up on that. I've seen people find the love of their lives in their 50s, 60s, 70s. It's the cutest thing when I see older people dating girlfriend and boyfriend, waiting by the phone to call each other, going to get coffee with each other. It is the cutest thing. And I want you to know, like, it's so much fun to try. Even if you meet people and it doesn't work out, like I said, use your discernment. Sometimes we do so much unnecessary damage because we do not use discernment. And even though we see the red flags, we just blow right through them and we keep on going because we're having so much fun. And because he's so fine and he smells so good and he has so much money, you can't be distracted by that. Don't be distracted by that, but enjoy the process. Don't, when you start going on dates, and I know you're now older than you were when you were single the last time. And especially like if you're in my age range, like your mid 30s or maybe even your 40s, you're probably thinking like, listen, I don't want to play any games. Okay. Do you want marriage? Do you want a family? What is your credit score? Where do you work? How much money do you make? Are you trying to be serious with me? Because I don't want anybody to play games anymore. But have fun. Like, enjoy the process. That is one of my biggest things that I'm trying to apply to my life in general, is enjoying the process. There's going to be bumps in the road. Enjoy the process, just like you have to do with anything. I'm trying to get fine. Y'all, listen. Your girl is trying to lose weight, and I'm going to do it. Because I'm learning to enjoy the process. You want to get rich. You have to learn to enjoy the process. You have to learn to enjoy the process. And that also applies in love. Sure, you may kiss a few frogs. Enjoy the process. Get your dates out of it. Whatever little good time you're going to get out of it, however far you're willing to go, just be safe. But learn to enjoy the process again. Your goal doesn't have to change. Like I said, you've learned. That's the one major thing you have to remember. Every lesson you've learned from all of those previous relationships, you don't lose that. So now your dating process, things should be moving a little bit quicker. You should be able to cut people off a little bit quicker. You should be able to know before you even go on the first date, just from having a conversation, you should be able to eliminate them a little bit quicker. So the process should be a little bit smoother because all of those other relationships were lessons for you. They were lessons for you. And even once you find your person, the lessons will continue. So my biggest thing I want to say before I end this episode is please don't give up on love. I'm telling y'all. And I'm speaking from a person that's single. I haven't been in a relationship in about 3 years. I've never been married. And I even found myself saying, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to be alone. And I had to be real with myself and tell myself, no, I want love. I want companionship. I want commitment. I want my person, whoever that may be. I want that. That's the reason why I stuck it out in these relationships that weren't meant for me, because that was what I wanted. But I no longer want to force it out of the wrong person. I want to get it from the person whom I'm meant to get it from. So I want to leave you with this. If you found yourself in this space to where the relationship is over, you're moving forward, maybe you're confused, maybe you're upset, maybe you feel lost, you're in a good space. Go on an adventure. Try some things, learn some things. And your story isn't over. You just closed another chapter. That chapter is over, but your book is still being written. It's still being written, and you can't end it now just because this chapter is over. And just because it's over doesn't mean that it didn't matter. It doesn't mean that you wasted your time. It doesn't mean that you screwed up. It doesn't mean that your time is over. It doesn't mean that you lost. It just means that you're going on a new journey. And you have the perfect opportunity to try what you want to try, date who you want to date, experience what you want to experience. But if you don't do anything else, I pray that you don't allow yourself to sit in isolation. Don't start blaming yourself. Don't even blame them. Just accept the fact that it's done. Allow people to love on you. Find you at least one person that you can confide in, because the healing happens on the inside. Closure happens on the inside. Every unanswered question you feel like you have, you don't have the answer to it because your brain is cluttered. It's a lot of things happening, a lot of things going on. But I promise you, if you just start journaling about your feelings, journaling about what has happened, you'll find your answer. You have the answer. There's no reason for you to reach back out to them to get any kind of closure. The relationship is the closure. Whatever question you're looking for an answer for, the answer is in the relationship. From the moment it started to the moment that it ended, somewhere in there, your answer lies. You just have to be willing to do the work to get to it. And sometimes you don't even need it. We just want it because we're not ready to let it go. We're not ready to let the connection go. We're not ready to let the connection go. So we convince ourselves that we need closure, and you don't. You have closure. The relationship is over, but your story is just beginning. So go have fun. Go be loved. Go do something new. Try something. Be something. Become her. Go out there and become her. Thank you so much. And before I go, if you're not subscribed to this page, then girl, I don't know what you're doing. Go ahead and take a moment, subscribe to the page. And also, before I go, Every Sunday, I send out clarity notes, just a special letter from me to you to help you have a little bit more clarity as you go into the new week. If that is something that you feel like you would be interested in, please, please, please make sure you go ahead and sign up. The link is down in the description notes. Also, I will be opening up my one-on-one sessions very soon. So if that is something you would also be interested in, go ahead and sign up for the Clarity Note as well, because that will automatically put you into my newsletter and you will be the first to know once the slots open up. And it's coming sooner than you think. Once again, I want to thank you guys so much for supporting the page. I will see you guys next week.